I never thought the worst day of my life would begin with a phone call from my mother-in-law. I was halfway through rotating the tires on a Civic at the garage when my phone buzzed in my pocket. Normally, I don't even check it during work, hands covered in grease, head buried in parts, but this time I did. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the name, Margot, my wife's mom, not someone who called me, ever. I wiped my hands on my coveralls and answered, "Hello." There was silence. A breath. Then her voice, trembling. "James, it's Margot. I need to tell you something." My stomach tightened. First thought? Emily. My wife. Something bad. An accident. Hospital. My heart started pounding. "Is Emily okay?" I asked. Another pause. Then came words I didn't see coming in a million years. "She's cheating on you." Everything stopped. The sound of tools clanking behind me, the murmur of the radio, the humming of engines, all of it dropped into a kind of static. "What?" "I saw her," Margot said. "Today." She didn't see me, but I saw her. She was with a man. I didn't know what to do. I just drove home. I've been sitting in my car for over an hour, and I finally thought, I can't let you not know. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. She told me she'd been in the city for a dentist appointment. She was walking back to her car when she saw Emily across the street, standing beside some guy, holding his hand, laughing. And then she kissed him. On the mouth, long and slow. She looked happy, Margot added. Too happy. That broke me more than the rest. "I'm so sorry," she said again. "But you need to know who you're really coming home to." I hung up, didn't say goodbye, didn't say thank you. I just ended the call and sat down on the edge of the garage step, elbows on my knees, heart in my throat. That night, I didn't confront Emily. I walked into the house like normal. She was in the kitchen, barefoot, wearing one of my hoodies, stirring pasta like it was any other Tuesday. She smiled when she saw me, asked how work was, kissed me, lied right to my face. And I kissed her back, not because I wanted to, because I needed to see it for myself. This was just the beginning. And I knew, somehow, it was going to end in court. Not just for betrayal, for everything. The next morning, I stood in the shower, letting the water hit my back while my mind ran in circles. I didn't sleep much. Maybe an hour, tops. She curled up beside me like she always did, like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't kissed another man hours before making dinner for me. That was the part one couldn't get out of my head. The switch she must have flipped, from cheating wife to loving spouse, all within the same day. I stared at her toothbrush, at the towel she left on the floor like always. Every little thing she did, I saw differently now. Everything was a performance, a setup, a lie told with a soft smile and good lighting. She was in the kitchen when I got out, coffee already made, eggs on the stove. She glanced over her shoulder and smiled. That same smile I'd seen 1,000 times. "You want 2 or 3?" she asked, motioning to the pan. I didn't answer right away. I looked at her, really looked, and realized I didn't know who I was married to anymore. 2, I said. I sat at the table while she cooked. Her phone was on the counter, face down as usual. She always said it was just a habit, but I knew better now. That screen was a door to the part of her life I wasn't supposed to see. "Did you sleep okay?" she asked, setting the plate in front of me. "Yeah," I lied. "Just tired." She nodded. "You've been working a lot." I watched her eat across from me like we were normal, like our lives hadn't been split in half by one phone call. After breakfast, she grabbed her gym bag and kissed me on the cheek. "I'll be back in a couple hours," she said. "The usual place?" She paused just slightly. "Yeah." I watched her leave. Then I waited 10 minutes, grabbed my keys, and followed. She didn't go to the gym. I trailed her through 2 neighborhoods and into a nicer part of town. She turned into a complex I'd never seen before, newer condos, upscale, gated. She pulled up to a unit near the back, parked, got out, didn't knock. She had the code. She punched it in, the door opened, and she stepped inside. I parked half a block away, hands trembling, heart going wild. I wanted to get out of the car, run up, kick the door open, demand answers. But I didn't. I just sat there. Because now I knew. I knew for certain that she wasn't just slipping. She wasn't confused or going through something. She was living a second life, and she didn't expect to get caught. That was the part that messed me up the most, that she looked me in the eyes last night, said she loved me, and still did this. Calm, confident, like I would never find out. But I had. And I wasn't going to let it go. I drove home and stared at the kitchen table for over an hour. Every second I sat there, something inside me hardened. This wasn't just infidelity. This was a campaign of deception. A calculated, long-term betrayal by the woman I gave my entire life to. And I knew what I needed to do. No more guessing. No more pretending. I wanted facts. I wanted names. I wanted dates, receipts, messages. I wanted everything. Because when the time came to confront her, I wasn't going to yell. I was going to destroy her. Quietly. Completely. I didn't talk to anyone about it. Not friends. Not family. Not even Margot. And she's the one who lit the fuse. It wasn't because I was ashamed, not exactly. It was because I didn't want advice. I didn't want someone telling me what they would do. I needed to move on instinct now. And my instinct said, gather everything. I started simple. I took photos of the condo complex. Her car. The timestamp. I saved screenshots of her gym check-ins on her fitness app. Fake, obviously. She'd checked into the gym 3 times that week, but the car had only left the house twice. I wrote it all down. I made a log on my phone. Time she left. Time she returned. Excuse given. Real location, when I could figure it out. The more I documented, the clearer the pattern became. She wasn't trying to hide it well anymore. She thought I was clueless. And maybe I had been. But now I was sharp. That Friday, I waited until she was in the shower. I unlocked her phone. I'd known the passcode for years. She probably forgot I even knew it, or she never thought I'd use it. Either way, she was careless. The messages weren't on the usual apps. She used Telegram. I didn't even know she had it. But there it was, tucked away on the last page of her apps. When I opened it, I felt sick. They didn't even use code names. His name was Leo. I scrolled through 2 months' worth of messages. Photos, voice notes, jokes, arguments, plans, all of it. They weren't just messing around. They were in some kind of relationship. He said he loved her. She said it back. She talked about the future, about how she was trying to figure out the right time. That line made my blood go cold. Was she planning to leave me? I took screenshots of everything, airdropped them to my laptop, saved them to a USB, uploaded them to a cloud account she didn't know about. I wanted redundancy. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was methodical. Then I kept going. I checked her emails, her photo gallery, her shared notes app. She had one called Ideas, filled with little phrases like move by fall, ask about the car loan, and the one that hit the hardest, check prenup loophole. My hands were shaking. I never thought I'd be the guy sitting in his bedroom copying files off his wife's phone, heart racing, breath shallow. But that night, I became him. The thing about betrayal is it doesn't just break your heart. It rewires your brain. It teaches you to doubt every smile, every word, every memory. That night, while she was curled up next to me watching some Netflix show I couldn't even focus on, I looked at her and realized she didn't just cheat on me. She started erasing me, and I'd been letting her. Not anymore. Because if she was planning to end us her way, quiet, clean, on her terms, she was about to find out that I had my own version of the ending, one she'd never see coming. Saturday morning, I woke up before her, sat in the kitchen, staring at nothing, a cup of coffee going cold in my hands. I was thinking about the messages, not just the obvious ones, the I miss yous, the sleep well babes, but the ones where she talked about me, how she said I was checked out, how I didn't notice anything, how I'd never fight for her. That one really got to me, because I wasn't checked out. I was just working, paying bills, fixing leaks, replacing brakes on weekends for extra cash. I thought that was fighting for us. Turns out, she was measuring effort and attention, not in sacrifices. She came into the kitchen wrapped in a robe, yawning, phone already in hand. She kissed my head, poured her coffee, and asked if I wanted to do something that afternoon, maybe a movie, or go walk around the farmer's market like we used to. I just said sure. It wasn't a real sure. It was a placeholder, a test. I wanted to see if she'd cancel. She always had a reason now. A headache, a friend needing help, a last-minute salon appointment. She never looked me in the eye when she bailed. She looked at her phone instead. Sure enough, by 2 p.m., she was in front of the mirror doing her makeup. I forgot. Mia asked me to stop by for a bit. She's having a rough day. I nodded. Want me to drive you? That one caught her off guard. She froze for half a second, then shook her head. No, I'll be quick. Don't want to drag you around. I watched her leave, waited 5 minutes, then followed again. She didn't go to Mia's. She went back to the condo. Same car, same unit, same door code. I didn't sit in my truck this time. I parked down the block and walked, kept my head low, hoodie up. I stood across the street and waited. 15 minutes later, the blinds on the second floor shifted. I saw her silhouette. His too. That's when I took the photo. I didn't care if it was blurry. I just needed a timestamp. Needed to show where she really was when she said she was comforting a friend. I went home before she came back. Cooked dinner like I had nothing to hide. Set the table. When she walked in, she looked surprised. You cooked? Yeah. Figured we could use something normal. She smiled. Almost looked relieved. Like she believed I was still in the dark. I handed her a plate. Watched her eat. Listened to her fake small talk. She had no idea. After dinner, I took the trash out. Except I didn't go to the curb. I went to the neighbor's instead. Tom. He's a retired sheriff's deputy. We talk sometimes. That night, I told him I needed a favor. Told him I needed someone to witness something, maybe testify, if things went the way I thought they would. He looked at me hard. Everything all right? Not really. He nodded once. Whatever you need. I handed him a folder. It had printouts of the messages, the screenshots from Telegram, the photo from the condo, a summary of her lies and alibis. He didn't say anything, just took it, gave me a pat on the shoulder, and went back inside. That night, I didn't sleep again. I was no longer wondering if she was lying. Now I was preparing to end the lie and take everything with me when I did. Sunday morning, I opened a new document on my laptop and titled it Exit Plan. I wasn't messing around anymore. This wasn't about catching her in the act. That part was done. This was about setting myself up for the aftermath. She thought she was planning a smooth escape, slow fade, maybe take the car, maybe some of the savings. She didn't know I was 10 steps ahead now. First thing I did was call a lawyer. I didn't know anyone personally, so I picked one with strong reviews. Specializes in family law, divorce, asset protection. I scheduled a consultation for Tuesday. Discreetly. No paper trail. No calls to the house. Then I checked our accounts. Joint savings. Credit cards. Subscriptions. I made a list of everything we shared and everything she had access to. I took screenshots. Printed them. Put them in the folder I'd already started for court. That same day, she asked if I wanted to go visit her sister in 2 weeks. Said it might be nice to get away. I looked her straight in the face and said, let's see how this week goes. She smiled. I think she thought it meant I was trying again. She had no idea what was coming. That night, after she went to bed, I checked her phone again. This time, there was a message from Leo that said, "You sure he doesn't suspect anything?" She replied, "Positive. He's just tired all the time. Doesn't ask questions anymore." I read that about 20 times. Then I took a photo of it and added it to the pile. Monday was quiet. Too quiet. She was being overly nice. Maybe lunch. Texted me while I was at the garage just to say, "Hope your day's going okay." She never did that before. I think she felt the shift, something in the air. She probably thought guilt was catching up to her. She had no idea it wasn't guilt in the room. It was preparation. That evening, I drove to the condo, parked in a different spot this time, got out, walked around the building, looked for anything with his name, took note of the unit number, the mailbox label, the parking permit on his windshield. I took photos of all of it. Then I went back home, kissed her on the forehead, and went to bed early. She curled up next to me and whispered, "I love you." I said it back. It tasted like metal. Tuesday came. I met with the lawyer. I showed her everything. The texts, the photos, the records. She asked one question. "Do you want out clean? Or do you want to take her to court?" I said, "Court," because this wasn't just about divorce anymore. This was about justice. This was about showing her, and him, that I wasn't some fool stumbling in the dark. This was about the man she thought she broke, and what he does when he stops playing nice. The lawyer, her name was Melissa, didn't waste time sugarcoating anything. She looked through the folder I handed her, flipped through the screenshots, the timestamps, the witness statement I'd gotten from Tom, and said, "You've got a strong case. Especially if there's property or support on the line." There was. Our house was under both names. The business, my garage, was started before we got married, but she helped with some of the early paperwork, so that could complicate things. We didn't have kids, thank God. But there were shared debts, shared credit, shared everything. I wanted it clean, but I also wanted to win. Melissa outlined a strategy. We'd file on grounds of infidelity, which still carried weight in our state. She said the court wouldn't care about emotional damage, but documentation? That mattered. Timeline? Motive? Witnesses? That mattered. She smiled at me when I mentioned the messages about checking prenup loopholes. You caught her mid-move, she said. Most people only realize it after the rug's gone. You still have it under your feet. She told me to keep things normal at home. Not to tip her off. Not yet. Let her feel safe. Let her keep making mistakes. I nodded. I could do that. The next few days were a blur. I played my role. I kissed her goodnight, made jokes at dinner, fixed the squeaky hinge on the bathroom door like some sitcom husband. She kept leaving for appointments. She kept checking her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, but I was. By Friday, the paperwork was ready. I signed it in Melissa's office. Divorce on the grounds of adultery. Petition to protect the house, to isolate my business, to freeze joint accounts before she could drain them. Melissa filed it that same afternoon. The court would notify her within 2 days. I spent that weekend in silence. We didn't talk much. She seemed distracted, maybe tired of lying, maybe wondering if Leo was getting tired of waiting. She didn't notice anything different in me, or maybe she just didn't care anymore. Sunday night, I watched her scroll through her phone, sitting under the same blanket we used to share on movie nights. I stared at her face, tried to remember what I used to love so much. It wasn't there anymore. Monday morning, I left the house early, said I had a supplier meeting. She kissed me on the cheek. I drove around the block, parked, and waited. At 10:15 a.m., the process server walked up our driveway. She opened the door in a bathrobe, still holding a mug. Probably thought it was a package. She signed for the envelope, then read the first page. She stepped outside barefoot, looking around like she'd been hit. She didn't see me, but I saw her. That was the moment I let myself feel it. Not anger, not grief, satisfaction. I didn't go home that night. I didn't answer her calls, either. There were 8 of them by 2 p.m. and another 5 texts. The first one sounded confused. James, what is this? Can you call me? Then came the desperate ones. Please, can we talk? I didn't mean for it to get this far. By evening, they got angry. You blindsided me. You could have at least talked to me before dragging lawyers into this. That one almost made me laugh. Talk to her? Like she'd talk to me? While she was sneaking off to another man's condo? While she was planning her quiet little exit and pretending to be my wife at dinner? I stayed at a motel. Nothing fancy. Just somewhere with a door that locked and a bed that didn't have her scent on the pillow. I didn't sleep much. Just stared at the ceiling and listened to the silence. The kind that doesn't haunt you, it calms you. Because for the first time in weeks, I was alone and didn't have to pretend. The next morning, I met with Melissa again. She handed me a copy of the response paperwork. Emily had gotten a lawyer. Already, the guy she hired was expensive, which was funny because she didn't have a job. Hadn't had one for over a year. She was either using credit or getting help from Leo. Probably both. She's pushing for mediation, Melissa said. Trying to settle fast. Because she's scared, I said. Melissa smiled. Exactly. I didn't agree to anything. Not yet. We had the advantage. Evidence. Documentation. A full timeline. And we'd frozen the accounts. She couldn't touch a dime without a court order now. That night, I drove by the house. Not to go in, just to see. Her car was in the driveway. Lights were off. Maybe she was inside crying. Maybe she was calling Leo, asking what to do. I didn't care. This wasn't about her anymore. This was about taking back what was mine. Later that week, I got a message from her mom. Margot, she said, I didn't know what else to do. I'm sorry it came to this. I told her not to apologize. She'd done the one honest thing in this whole mess. She warned me. She gave me a chance to see what was really happening. If not for her, I'd probably still be sitting across from a liar, wondering why I felt so hollow all the time. I didn't reply to Emily's texts after that. Not even when she wrote, I made a mistake. Not when she said, Leo's gone. He freaked out. Not even when she wrote, I still love you. Because that wasn't love. That was panic. That was a cheater realizing she'd played the wrong hand. And I wasn't folding like she expected. The court date was set, and I was ready. The morning of the first court hearing, I woke up before the sun. I sat on the edge of the motel bed, lacing up my boots, thinking how weird it was that I felt calm. Not empty, not anxious, just steady. Like I'd already grieved everything, and now I was just showing up for the burial. Melissa met me outside the courthouse. She was in full command mode, confident, focused, folders tucked neatly under one arm like she already knew the outcome. I appreciated that. I needed it. Emily showed up 10 minutes later. She looked smaller. Not physically, but everything about her was subdued. Less makeup, hair tied back. She wasn't performing anymore. Her lawyer trailed behind her, trying to speak calmly, but you could see it on her face. She knew she was walking into a storm. We sat on opposite sides of the room, didn't look at each other once. The judge opened the session, asked the usual formal questions, and then Melissa laid it all out. The affair, the timeline, the financial concerns, the potential attempt to manipulate assets before separation. She handed over a clean, ordered stack of evidence, every message, every transaction, every detail. Then it was Emily's turn. Her lawyer stumbled through a defense that she had felt emotionally neglected, that it was a mistake made in confusion, that she never intended to leave me without a fair division of our life. She even tried to argue that some of the messages were taken out of context. The judge asked one question: did you engage in a romantic relationship with another man during your marriage? Emily looked down and said, yes. That was it. Her lawyer's whole case deflated like a balloon. They tried to pivot, offered mediation again. A soft settlement. Split everything down the middle. No need to drag it out. Melissa leaned toward me, whispered, we can take this deal. It's fair. Or we press harder. Make an example. I didn't speak right away. I looked at Emily. She couldn't even meet my eyes. I leaned back and said, we press. Because fair wasn't what she gave me. Fair wasn't lying to my face. Fair wasn't planning to leave while playing house. Fair wasn't months of betrayal disguised as love. The judge didn't make a final decision that day, but the tone was set. We were going to war. And for the first time since it all started, I didn't feel like the victim. I felt like the one holding the hammer. The next few weeks were brutal. Legal back and forth. Statements, paperwork, financial disclosures, every ugly piece of our life laid out in black and white. Melissa handled most of it, but I had to sit through depositions, answer questions about my income, about our home, about the first time I suspected something was wrong. I answered everything calmly, clearly. Meanwhile, Emily kept trying to reach out, sometimes through her lawyer, sometimes through late-night texts that went from soft regret. I never meant to hurt you, to desperation. You can't just erase 6 years. But she'd erased them the second she let another man into our life. I didn't respond. Melissa told me Leo had officially ghosted her, moved out of his condo, possibly transferred jobs, probably ran the second he saw court papers and realized he'd be named in the adultery clause. Emily was alone now, completely, but that didn't change the damage. It didn't make her sorry in a way that mattered. She wasn't sorry she cheated. She was sorry she got caught. And she was starting to realize that consequences were coming. In the next hearing, Melissa presented the full timeline. She showed the judge not just the affair, but the calculated nature of it. The financial trail, the conversations about timing, the way Emily prepared to leave quietly with a slice of everything I built, until I caught her. Emily's lawyer looked cornered. He argued for dignity, for letting both parties move forward. Melissa didn't budge. She turned to the judge and said, my client wants closure, yes, but he also wants accountability. He was faithful. He was generous. He supported his wife while she prepared to betray him, and she used that support to build a secret life with another man. This isn't just about a failed marriage. This is about fraud, deceit, and financial exploitation. The judge took a long breath, then said he'd issue a ruling within the week. We walked out of the courthouse into the cold. Emily didn't look at me, and I didn't look back. That night, I went back to the garage after hours, closed the doors, sat on the bench where I'd first gotten the call from her mother. It felt like a full circle. Back then, I thought that call was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Now, I realized it was the thing that set me free. The court ruling came on a Thursday, mid-afternoon. Melissa called me directly. No waiting. Her voice was clear, steady. You got everything you asked for. I sat in the back office of the garage, staring at the wall, letting it sink in. The judge had ruled in my favor on every count. The house? Mine. She'd forfeited her claim due to the documented deceit and attempted manipulation of our shared assets. The business? Untouchable, ruled as premarital property with no demonstrated contribution on her part. Our accounts were officially split. I kept everything I earned. She walked away with only what she personally had saved, which, according to the records, wasn't much. Spousal support? Denied. The judge cited the affair, the planning, the breach of trust, and her lack of financial contribution in recent years. She tried to argue that I owed her for holding down the home, but the evidence told a different story, one of gym bags used as decoys and weekday rendezvous with Leo. And that's not all. The judge added a note to the final ruling, one I would read over and over in the days that followed. The petitioner acted in good faith throughout the marriage. The respondent, in contrast, exhibited ongoing deception and disregard for the marital contract. The court finds no grounds for equitable relief in her favor. That sentence was my victory lap. It wasn't just about money. It was about the truth, being seen, being believed, being vindicated after months of thinking I was losing my mind. I didn't message her after the ruling. She texted once, "I guess you got what you wanted." I didn't respond. Because no, I didn't get what I wanted. I never wanted a broken home, a trial, a betrayal burned into my memory. But I got what I deserved. Peace. Truth. My life back. A few days later, I took the papers and stored them in a drawer I never opened again. I changed the locks on the house, painted the bedroom, got rid of the wine glasses we never used, the ones she once toasted with someone else. And then I moved on. It wasn't easy. Some nights still hit hard, but they stopped cutting the same way. Sometimes I see her name pop up in old emails or contacts I haven't deleted yet, but I never click. I don't need to. Because I won. Not just in court, in every way that mattered.